Doesn't say it's recording yet.
It says live.
Yeah,
it
live on
says live.
YouTube. That means it's going.
No, it
Okay.
usually says
I can
recording.
I can set the record too. There you go.
There you go.
There we go. All right, it's 7:05. I'll call our meeting to order. For now, we're gonna, well, actually, does anybody have any amendments to the agenda?
It's kind of hard when you haven't seen it till just now. Just saying.
I had one quick thing I just wanted to mention, which is about the fish ladder. I just wanted to, I sent you guys an email about it, but I just wanted to mention something about the stats we got. It'll be quick.
Go ahead.
All right, so it's just that I just got the stats from the fish ladders monitored during the harvest, and it's the one of the cool things that I just noticed was that the repeat spawning ratio of 39% is up quite a bit. So so it's some good news. We have the OF ladder is working really well, and yeah, no, it's just a little bit of good news. But you guys can look through that, and I was going to touch base with Mark and Deb and Jim and just sort of go over, do a better overview for a future meeting. But you guys just look that over. If you have any questions, send them to me and I'll ask them. So that was it.
All right, sounds good. Wanda, there's not much on the agenda. It was just our
No, I
minute.
see it. I see it. It just got there, but it's just, yeah.
Yeah, John sent it out later today. Anything else, guys?
So is John gonna, we're gonna move minutes till after?
Yeah, we'll just wait on the minutes.
Yeah.
If John can get them to us before the night's over.
You should have them now.
Ah,
As long as it's the right file.
Minutes part 2, August 31st. There you go. You guys want to do a quick review of them? I guess you all are.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, might as well.
minute.
Must be my truck warranty.
Either that or your refrigerator is running, you know.
Anything standing out to you guys? Just scanning
Nothing.
through, it looks pretty good.
I think it looks good.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
Wanda, you all set?
Yeah.
All right, do I have a motion?
Move.
So I'll second it.
All right, thanks, Rob, Joel. Any discussion? All in favor? Passes 5-0. All right, we'll move on to the core zoning. We'll run through the updates. Let me bring that up. John, the one you sent tonight has the latest updates on it, right? You guys are maybe seeing my screen?
Yep.
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 I gotta drag it in front of me, some of the other monitor. All right, so the table of content, I know
Oh,
Ben's
now we
changed a little bit, right?
lost it. Now we just see Zoom.
Oh, okay, it was on that screen over there. All right.
There we go.
So table of contents only changes where the updates to if page numbers changed, as far as I know, from what I read what Ben said. You guys just want to run through?
Yeah, the first
Go ahead.
change is on page 10. In that F2 frontage, just clarifies gets rid of the word thoroughfare and clarifies that you can have a primary frontage on a right of way. I think that's the additional piece here. And 3 actually didn't change.
Okay, you just highlighted it.
Yeah, I think that was just by accident.
All right. Any issues with that, guys or gals? Next change is in D1.
And this isn't a change. It's really just a using the term primary frontage line, because Ben also clarified the definition in the definition section. So it's just a language change here.
Okay. And what about 2B? Same thing?
2B, I'm not sure actually anything changed. Otherwise, it's just a language. When I glanced at the old language, it didn't look much different.
All right. And then the uses.
So every district, I think this is really good that Ben added this language just to clarify that a use needs to have a symbol in the table to be allowed in the district.
Yeah. That was a question that came up during the pop-up, and that is good clarification.
Great.
And then in each of the other districts, this was the fix just for the shed roof.
Shed roof, the 2.5, 12, yeah.
And so that's going to be true of each of the districts from here on is going to have the fix for the shed roof and the use,
And the use.
Language.
That was actually something that came up in during the planning committee meetings, but it was just never got translated into the document. So that's sort of like it's a catch, but it's from long time ago.
Well, I remember we had discussed whether to take out the categories of use that aren't allowed in a district. Because at one point, yeah, that was one of those discussions that went on and on and on about which way was clearer to have everything listed in the table and only so everything's always in the same place, or whether to clear them out. And so, yeah, this just clear.
Rob, sorry, I was referring to the pitch thing.
Oh, the pitch. I always think about, but the other language about that a blank entry in the table.
Mm-hmm.
We had discussed whether to keep those there or to only have the uses listed that are allowed in that district. And so this language just cleans that up.
Okay.
So then the next piece is on the rural highway. I think that's what you got up now, right?
Yeah, that's what's up now.
So this is just, again, clarifying that primary front setback. Again, that's new terminology, but that it's measured from the center line of Route 1. The one in BI, I think from our discussion last week, I'm not sure if we want to keep that 200 foot or just say, have language that it's within the primary front setback. But that's functionally the same. So.
But are you thinking we should narrow the buffers that you're talking
Well, no,
about?
I'm
Ron?
just to clarify, I think, this, the language that I proposed before the last meeting, I think was similar to what Ben put in here, but the way we talked about it, just to clarify that it's within that primary front setback that the buffer exists. So we don't really need to say 200 feet here again. I think this is a quibble. I don't know that we need to change what the language that's here, but I think from our discussion last time, we had kind of backed away from having another number here. And I think that just didn't get translated to Ben. And so again, I don't think it's functionally different. It's just a stylistic thing, I'd say.
Yeah, because if the setback and the buffer are the same, it's not going to be, because the setback, you could have 100 feet of right of way in there.
Well, again, that's why you maintain what's there, and that's why I think that that you're maintaining what's there within the setback,
Right.
not that you're creating a 200-foot buffer.
Right. Yeah, it wouldn't take much to remove that.
So, I mean, I think it might be clearer saying shall be maintained within the primary front setback for the BI.
Yeah, I think that's a good.
All right. Hopefully Ben just caught that. All right, you guys good with that one? We'll move on.
Mm-hmm.
So the next substantive thing is on 41 in site standards fields. And this was just to clarify that the process for a field doesn't apply to a new commercial agricultural use. There was a question about a property that's coming out of commercial agricultural use. But which it would apply to, but it doesn't apply to new commercial agricultural uses.
All right.
The next thing is on 64 under use standards. So this was another of Ben's good ideas. This is just taking that standard nuisance language and giving its own section. So later, where we used to have that paragraph that's A, the proposed use may not adversely affect the use, blah, blah, blah. That was in each a condition under each many use categories, but here it'll just refer back to this section. Which if for some reason we need to change that language, we just have to do it in one place with this change.
All right.
So then there's a whole bunch of, under the uses, there are a whole bunch of changes that are doing just that, referring to the section. The substantive change on page 66 under bar and tavern, originally in the previous draft, we forgot to put standards in. So this copies the standards from a restaurant. And again, in D there, you can see adds that section, or adds a section that if you're doing live entertainment, you need to comply with live entertainment standards, which in turn refer back to the nuisance standards.
All right. Same there.
And then I think that there's nothing until 78 under administration. And here, I think, again, we had, from the original proposal, we had a discussion to say that this should just see the Newcastle Fire Chief and not a newly created entity of a Newcastle Life Safety Authority. So that's another simple change to just say that Newcastle Fire Chief.
Right.
Under this small project and on page 79, the large project has the same language.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Make more sense to say fire chief or fire company.
Yeah. Well, under subdivision, it specifically lists the fire chief.
Okay.
So I think that using that same designation, I think makes sense.
Yep.
Then down on 98 in definitions, frontage is frontage line, and primary and secondary is new language, just clarifying those definitions. So between the lot under site standards lots, the cleanup of the language there and the cleanup of the definition language, it just makes it much clearer what we're talking about. And again, in the rural highway district, we make an exception and we specify that on the district page, which is one of the beauties of having a district page with all the stuff, everything about that district on it, is we can treat it one district, you know, have an exception for that district and put it there, and have everything else use the general definitions.
All right. You guys are all good with those?
Mm-hmm.
And then finally on 101, definitions for road, which tie in with the driveway, roads and entrances ordinances.
Yep.
And that's it.
That's it. So otherwise, everybody is good with the rest of it? The changes are set, except we'll change that over to fire chief and. Great. We'll just ask Ben to make those couple changes to it.
Yep.
Great. Any other thing you guys want to say about the code, or how the pop-ups went this week, or?
I probably had, well, let's see, where are we? Tuesday, Thursday. I was there on Tuesday and Thursday, and there's a couple of 2 or 3 that show up in my summary, the FAQ thing. Nobody showed up on Saturday. Rem and I set up, and we waited there until about 11:30. Then we closed up shop. Figured it was too nice of a day, and holiday weekend, we figured people had other plans, so it made sense to us.
Right.
Um,
Any of the questions in here, Tori, you want to highlight and comment on, or?
hold on a second. Yeah, I'll just run through these. I think we sort of touched on the comment one, comment two. Comment one was on the SD rural highway, and this actually resulted in moving the making a clarification there by moving the lot line to the center of the road. I think that was a good clarification. Um, you know, there's still some you know, there's some changes here with this particular owner, with the way that their lot is configured. It's kind of narrow, so you know, they can expand through you know, the nonconformance building rule. So there's still some options here. Um, so that's what that number one was. Number two, property owner accept zoning change. Yeah. So this I think we caught this and talked about it last week about a parcel that was deeded. It was if it had been on the map, let's say, or it was deeded, you know, say 6 months ago, it would have been in the commercial zone. So I think we're just catching that now. Comment three, the 400-foot, this is an exception to the 250-foot change. You know, this goes back to keeping rural, and you know, 50-foot is really the compromise to expanded use in the rural zone. So that was there. For this one was a question about a roof. If somebody has a flat roof on a particular building and the code changed, do they need to change it to a sloped roof? The answer is no. Your grandfathered, you can actually expand, make an addition to, and keep the flat roof. But if they do a new building, then that's subject to the new sloped roof rule. Number five, the rural district. Can I build a guest house? Oh, so this was sort of a misinterpretation or misunderstanding of what's in the code under expanded use or building groups. This person really just wanted to build another house on their lot as a guest house. They actually have 150 acres, so this, you know, they don't have any real constraints on distance, and they wanted it more than 250 feet from their other house. So this was an easy no. They can put another house up, and actually rural allows you to do that now. So this was an answer they wanted to hear. For all the listed uses, so we just talked about this. This is the dot thing, and we just added that language to clarify that in the table, use table key. Number 7, I had a residence that wanted to do an addition. Does SD Historic have design review process similar to the current ordinance? So no, there's language in SD Historic, and that's one district that's probably got the most, well, it does have the most regulation on how you can add on. And by the way, if anybody wants to go and find last week's design review committee meeting, at the end of that YouTube broadcast, there's I go into this sort of a review and sort of thumb through the district page to show you how this gets implemented. So no, design review committee goes away. I've asked property, number 8, I have a house and property in a rural district. I want to build a garage. What are the changes in setbacks? This was somebody that was actually, sounded like they had some pretty tight site conditions. So the difference of, I think, 10 feet or so on the side or the rear setback actually helped them out. So they were they're happy to hear that the setbacks were a little less under the new proposed code, less restrictive. Number 9, is it possible to get a waiver or variance of setback standards? Actually, this was the same person. They were wondering if they had an agreement with somebody next door, the abutting lot, could they get a basically a waiver that says somebody signs off and says you can we grant you the right to sort of infringe upon the setback, but setbacks are town. It's a town standard. It's not a neighbor standard. So I'm not exactly sure. Maybe Rob, if you have any ideas about that. My thought was, if it's a variance, it'd have to basically seek a variance on a setback rule, and that's a really tough bar to achieve or jump over. So I think the short answer to that is yes, but with a lot of basically it's impossible, I think. But
Yeah, I think it's one of those yes in theory, but no in practice.
right.
I think in the past, though, I think those things were permitted, so that, if you had a neighbor and they didn't care if you put your garage right next to them, you could get permission and do it. But I mean, that was a lot of years ago. But I remember somebody did that in some of my dad's land, I think, wanted him to give him permission to build. But that was years ago.
Right, and I've heard of that too. I think I like I said, the setbacks, the standard is a district standard. It's not a owner implied standard. So the variance would have to go through, you'd have to seek the variance against the performance of the district setback standard, which would go through variance. I don't think that would go unless there's some hardship that really meets all of the criteria. Question 10. So this came up. I'm going to actually reach out again to the owner, make sure I understand this. It's about discontinued public roads. Sounded to me like the thought was, if there's a discontinued road, and they have a, say like a logging road that sort of comes into a discontinued town road, does that then become a public road? So I think the short answer is no, but again, I think there's more to the question. I'd like to see what they actually have in the plot plan. Maybe that would help. So that's it.
Great.
And
Thank you, Tony.
I would add, I'm planning on updating the first part of the Q&A that I had put together, and put it in the format that Tor put his in. That makes it clear what the question is and then what the answer is. And then I think we should submit those both to John, and he can get those on the website so people can go through those.
All right, sounds good. What do we have for pop-ups this week? I know it's already Tuesday, so are we doing any?
Ellen and I are going to do something tomorrow evening. I don't have a lot of time, but we talked about it, and we're going to try to pop one up from 6 to 8 tomorrow evening. So.
Have we advertised it anywhere, John, or?
We will Thursday. And then my question was, if anything Saturday, we're going to try to do Saturday again, if there was any interest in that. So I'd like to get them, I'd like to do them out a week ahead if I can, but we can send out something out tonight.
And I apologize, Ellen and I've just been incredibly busy, and my life's not going to get any less busy in the next few weeks. So we're just trying to squeeze one in. So.
I had a
Thursday night, Wanda, or tomorrow night?
No, tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, is it? Okay. I did have a pop-up today, which I didn't get into the, I'll write a summary on that, which is similar to the commercial, the issue that an owner had with a deeded lot that was in rural and pretty clearly should be in commercial. this person today has a deeded lot, and they actually are requesting that it's a split lot. It's a through lot, and then half of it's on Route 1, the other half's on the River Road, and so the SD Rural Highway along the River Road doesn't make a lot of sense. So they actually would like to see it in rural, which is, which is down zoning from SD Highway to rural, makes all the sense. So I said if they can get the map and the page to us, we'd consider it to get it in the map for this warrant. So they're gonna work on that.
All right. Anything else on pop-ups or plans?
I'm
for
not
next-
available Saturday, but if, I think it'd be valuable if we can, but I'm not available.
Any
Yeah, I'm
volunteers?
busy this Saturday too.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in Augusta Saturday, so. Doesn't look good then.
Yeah.
All right. With that, John will shoot an email about tomorrow night, and I guess Saturday's off. Sure, we're gonna try to do one again Thursday.
Did you say me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I think what we've been doing is if somebody calls in, I'll go set up, but, today I'm not always throwing up the tent. So I hope people understand that because the tent's not up doesn't mean we're not having meetings. Just sometimes if it's just one person to set all that gear up for what comes down to be like a 15-minute discussion, nobody else signs up. We're just we're having it at a table outside the town office. So
All right. So if the table's there, we're there.
the table's always there. The table's there. I'm less than 5 miles away. Let's put it that way.
There you go.
All right. Well, let's move on then. I sent you guys a scope of work.
Oh, actually, quickly, one other thought. For the planning board public hearing, does someone need to put together some kind of presentation, or do we want to just respond to questions?
Now it's planning board's meeting, actually. So
True.
we need to know what how their chair wants to run it.
Ah, that's true. Okay, he can probably figure that out.
Yeah. We'll pass that buck.
And it doesn't look like I'm going to be available that night. It looks like I'm going to be away. So sorry.
Joel.
I just checked my email. Ben just sent the changes we discussed tonight. I don't know if we want to just approve it now and get it done so that we can have it posted and set, or if we need to look at it further.
Yeah, I think we can accept it with those changes.
Yeah.
Just trying to scan through it. Did he highlight those changes?
It was just on,
So it was that in rural highway, that 1BI, the language would be shall be maintained within the primary front setback. In administration, small project plan 10D2, Newcastle Fire Chief instead of Newcastle Life Safety Authority. The same thing on large project plan D2, Newcastle Fire Chief.
okay.
And those are the changes.
Great. John, can we get this one up the website tonight? So all the updated ones out there?
Probably. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Ben. All right. Anything else?
Do we need to vote on that, or is that a
Motion.
formal just motion?
We're calling this our final draft. We're not changing it again.
That's our intent.
Or do you want to wait and do that the 14th? Just in case
I-
something else comes up in the next week.
If I could maybe just, I'm working with the mapping company on the map to get that all resolved. And I'm expecting I should have a final draft with all the changes and the updated parcel lines for your meeting on Monday. So
Okay.
I would expect there'd be one more draft that we would need to incorporate, and I'll work with Ben to make sure that that's in the document. But and functionally, I don't think the map will look any different. But I just, in terms of official, I think you would need to have at least one more vote on Monday night, for what it's worth.
Well, that's a good point because the map is part of this document.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
So we should have that correct.
All right. So wait till the 14th then.
Mhm.
Is there any opposition for me to put up this last draft on the website as the current draft?
No, I think,
I think
yeah.
we can ask Ben to just make those 3 few word changes, I think, and then put that up. Would be my suggestion.
What few word changes?
What we just talked about, that we say we're accepting it with those.
He's already done
Yeah,
So-
already. Yeah.
it. He sent it to us already.
He's not supposed to be watching.
This is Ben. Ben's always watching.
And it's open to the public.
He's not watching, he's reading our minds.
Right. So,
So yeah, I think John, you should put it up.
Yeah.
yeah, I'd put it up, knowing
Yep.
we've got some map changes to do, but I think that's minor.
Yeah, the changes of the map aren't really changes in terms of the direction or policy. It's really more accuracy and
Right.
a map that
Well-
we can actually work.
Parcel changes.
Right.
Right. So some of the parcel lines that are shown in the map we have present reflect an older parcel map, I think 2017, 2018. So there have been some splits since then. If there's any issues or anything that is, somewhat on the line or at the edge of a district boundary, certainly we can look at those areas and highlight them. But I don't anticipate any of that. I mean, while we have a number of parcel splits, really not an effective number to really make it worthwhile. And certainly, what are the chances those then come on the edge of a boundary? The 2 situations Tor described earlier, those are, I think, much more outliers compared to everything else you have in town.
All right. So we're good with the code? One more time. All right, moving on. I sent out that scope of work for the community center. I don't know if everybody had a chance to read it. It's short and sweet. But to the vendors that are going to get sent to, they're more interested in the parts than they are in the wording. So
Brian, I couldn't actually read that. It looked like a chart there.
the floor plan or
Yeah.
the
The floor plan.
on the
makes
last
sense to me.
page, like
Every-
the equipment
every
chart.
Yeah, it's sort of the other. Could you just explain what we're looking at there?
Yeah, this is just the equipment layout for the amplifiers, speakers, the TV, and how it all one interconnects to the next. It's just more of a layout for the vendors, so they know exactly what we're looking at equipment wise. Because I've already spec'd out all the equipment that we want and specifically how it all connects to each other. So it actually how it would all work in the room. They prefer to get that than just a blank list of, parts and pieces.
Got it. Yeah.
So it's more so for them than for you guys. It's got all the proper part numbers and how they all connect. So
That's why I
Now-
couldn't read it.
and you kind of see the flow. Yeah. Come on, you're the architect.
I can read the floor plan. It's all this equipment stuff.
The flow chart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is that, I actually had a question about, specifying hardware and things. Is that, are there different approaches that a vendor might give to the functionality that we want? Is there benefit in making it more general, or is this kind of the way to go about this?
Well, in my opinion, it's the way to go about it. We've chosen the equipment that we would prefer to have versus leaving it open. There's a couple different companies that do it, but some of them are more home designed than they are commercial designed. So to avoid that, getting those specs back, and the 2-3 companies going to send this to are all Crestron dealers anyways. So,
Mhm.
it's the majority of what they install. So.
The other question I had is, in there, you mentioned Zoom and YouTube. Are we locked into those vendors for the functionality that they're providing, or is this work with multiple services?
Well, we're just looking to have Zoom kind of built into it if it's possible, but it's also BYOD. So whatever we're displaying is what it'll do. So if we decide to use GoToMeeting,
Mhm.
or Skype, or anything along that line, whatever our laptop does.
And the same thing with where it gets posted, YouTube or any other.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on us. I just want to make sure they have an idea of what we're doing. So, but all that is controlled through Zoom today. It's not controlled through the equipment.
Right. But yes, but it's not locking us into one path.
No. Joel?
So will this work with Civic Clerk? What we've got set up here, I mean, is that going to would that work kind of seamlessly with that? Because we're looking at using the Civic Clerk to actually do the recordings to so we can put pins in stuff and people can search, by what we're discussing.
Yeah, it should sync to whatever format we're going to tie in with Civic Clerk with. Whether it's the YouTube profile going over so we can pin it. So like we said, so we can highlight sections. That so they go, but they correspond with the minutes I think we're talking about, right? Should still be able to do it. I don't see why we couldn't, because it's just still a straight video. Even if we end up using a different format besides YouTube for the recording. Because whatever they use it on, you remember?
No, we met with them last week to get the ball rolling on the Civic Clerk piece, and so that should be, we're about a 2-month rollout on that. Probably early November, I think, is when we'd probably be in a spot where we'd we would be anywhere close to having that Civic Clerk software ready to go. But having said all that, I think they were going to send us some more details on how that works, and I think it's CP Media is what they call it. So I don't think it'd be difficult to tie it in, but we haven't I haven't really gotten any of the details from those guys yet. So stay tuned. I mean, I think the main issue for us is setting ourselves up, whatever the devices are, whether it's recording or the media how it goes out. The issue in that room right now is there isn't anything in there right now. So we have to find a way to get the cameras and the microphones in such a way that people are happy with, in such a way that they can hear it on YouTube, hear it on LCTV, and understand what you guys are saying and what you're trying to accomplish in your meetings. So unfortunately, it's not cheap usually to do that. There's a lot of new stuff that's cool and exciting. But in the past, it's always been something to do a whole room like this. It's a pricey venture. In Rockport, 20 years ago or so, when we did this room there, actually it was 15 years ago, it was about 25,000. So I'm sure prices have gone up to do something like that. But in that case, we each had individual microphones with the light up little thing on the mic, so you knew when you were the one speaking. I mean, it was really ridiculous, truthfully. But to have something that's a little bit pared back, obviously, I don't think we're looking at that type of situation. And so much now is everyone's doing Zoom, everyone's doing something like this. So hopefully that there's some opportunities out there with, certainly with schools, and they're all doing some sort of thing, remote learning in, out. And it'd be great to get something in place. I mean, just personally, it'd be great to have something in place for us late fall, early winter, so that way, if people do have to be away, they can participate remotely as well.
I want to say, Joel, I think Civic Clerk, I want to say I read in there they use Vimeo, which will this will convert right over to it. So
Okay.
I don't think they're using YouTube, but it's the same. So same but different.
So Brian, I have a question.
Yeah, Tor.
Looks like we have one display.
Correct.
Is that-
There's one display for the audience, so they'll be able to see what our whole agenda and everything else, all the documents we're viewing.
Okay.
All right.
But
That
what
way
if-
there, because today when they come in, we hand out paper documents, or we were. They could have that, but this way, whatever's on John's laptop is what they'll be seeing.
So I guess I was thinking, I guess in my mind there would be some kind of like boardroom sort of scenario where you could sort of zoom in, or you could have a conference with somebody else that's remote, so you could have the select board here, and then say somebody that's, I don't know, in Western Maine that's doing work for the town, zoom in, or remote conference with us.
Oh, they'll be able to, yeah. If we're using Zoom, they'll be able to come to the Zoom meeting. We just have to send them the invite.
So is that okay? So are we gonna have like our laptops? Is that the idea in front of us? And
Yeah, me and John were thinking maybe once we get going, we can afford some Android tablets or something. They're reasonably priced.
okay,
Have that tablet, so we're seeing the displays. So everything's in front of us, because we will not have a projector ourselves or a screen that we're looking at.
yeah,
But we would have a tablet that would display everything. So
okay, okay, now I got it.
So, so this equipment would allow a traditional in-person board meeting with an in-person audience, and being simulcast to either a streaming service or LCTV, or it would work without an audience, but the selectmen in person, or some of the board could be in person and some could be over Zoom. Is that all true?
all true, yes.
Okay.
Because we're still going to use Zoom as our format, right? So the meetings will still be viewable.
Mhm.
We'll still be broadcasting them live through this, and pretty much everything we're doing today, except we'll be able to meet in person. And actually, with the second camera on here, there's two cameras in the ceiling. One will be facing us, one will be facing the audience. So actually, we'll be able to see also who's in our audience with us. So everybody won't just be seeing us. So if somebody's talking from the audience, they'll be able to actually see them. The cameras aren't going to zoom, they're going to be fixed.
Mhm.
It's easier to do that versus having a camera move around to voice. Gets
Yeah.
very annoying real fast. So
And
So-
how does it switch cameras?
it doesn't, they'll both be on like we were doing in the past.
Oh, okay, just an inset.
Yeah, it's an inset.
So we have like 6 windows open. We have 6 windows right now in the Zoom meeting. We'd have 2 more for each of the camera angles. Is that what?
Well, we'd probably, if we're all there meeting in person, we'd only have those two.
Oh, okay.
There'd be us as a group and the audience as a group.
Okay. All right.
One thing I would just add too, though, certainly this group gets the most use out of this sort of setup. The planning board would be a huge beneficiary to this sort of setup as well. Tor's done a number of the design review meetings. I almost argue, I haven't attended as many as design review meetings certainly as Tor has, but certainly the Zoom layout in terms of being able to focus the participants and the conversation among folks and what they're all looking at the same thing, I think is a really beneficial tool, particularly in a planning board setting. And also the remote participation by, engineers, architects, and the like, I think is really helpful as in trying to involve people in these types of committee meetings. The other thing is that this also would allow for under whatever circumstance, to try to set up something it's an easily accessible tool. Something like Zoom is fairly modular. A lot of people can use that. And if we start using this space, it would be great to be able to offer that opportunities to some other of the fire department, if they wish to do, get the word out about, things that they want to talk about, that are, in tune with what the town's trying to share, perhaps even the historical society. So I think there are offshoots of this that broadcasting can assist with, but also in terms of that live streaming component, I think it can really open up a lot of doors. Once we can actually open up our doors to people, which, unfortunately we're not totally there yet, but, whatever source we find, it's helpful to have something that's so easy to use that a number of different types, people can use it of a number of different varieties of experience with technology and the like.
Right. Also allow the fire department, if they're doing training in there and they want to record their training, they'd be able to do that as well. And the display is just, I figure out what size TV we're going to put on it, but it's a portable display. So I was going to put 2 hardwired connections to it because it's a display, so it's going to be HDMI. I was going to put one by kind of where that display is now, another one on the back wall behind us where that back exit is, so that display can get moved back there if fire department has different use for it or whatever.
So, okay, yeah. Again, I feel like we need another display. I hate to expand the project, but if the audience is looking at a display, I guess we could look at our tablets. That's what you're saying. We all have tablets on
We would have a tablet in front of us with everything
so
on
if
it.
somebody remote is sharing something, then we would just be looking at our tablet and the audience would be looking at the monitor. Okay.
Correct. Versus trying to, in a room this size, even with the 80-inch TV, if something was displayed on it, it's hard to read.
Mm-hmm.
So, so like planning board would probably never look at a good set of plans on a even 80-inch display without having to get up closer to it. I do it all the time, and we're always like having to zoom into the pages, and so you're constantly just zooming in and out of documentation to look at floor plans.
Yeah.
So, even on a 135-inch screen, things get a little blurry. So I think it's easier on your tablet. Then you kind of have control. You can zoom if you need to on your own. Because your interest will be different than Joel's or mine on a floor plan or something. Or
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and we're talking about buying enough tablets so that the planning board members would each have one. So, and they'd be a shared tablet. They'd just stay there in the community room in a charging station. So when planning board came in, they just grab them when they're done, put them back. And so we're not going to buy a ton of them. We're not taking them home. They'll just stay there and charge.
So one thing I'm thinking is that it seems as though a separate issue is the question of when and how we as the Board of Selectmen and other town committees meet in person. But the design and implementation of this project is really independent of that decision. Obviously, we don't need it until someone's meeting in person, but it's really a separate issue that's more a long-term asset for the town and to enable, more accessible meetings.
Correct. Yeah, I view it that way. It's not a must. We could start meeting tomorrow and go back to the way we kind of were doing it, set something clumsy up, or just get a camera and send it off to LCTV like we were doing before.
Right. Well, I'm still thinking I'm not confident when it's going to be appropriate for us to meet regularly. I guess that's we just don't know what the fall is going to bring. But that said, I think this has value. Whether we start using it in a month or 5 months, it's something that's good for the town to do and get in place.
Yeah, I agree. Wanda, you had your hand up earlier. You got talked over.
Oh, no, my question, I think it got answered. It was just, that once we start meeting, then we would be allowing the public in as well. Because I think that's important. I mean, there are people who do want to come, have questions from time to time, and I think it's important that we do that. My other question is, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of off track here, but because I haven't been in the town hall for a while, I know the windows are up. Are we open now for people to just walk in at the town hall?
No, we're still doing by appointment, and you know they've to this point we haven't had any issues in terms of being blocked up with people coming in. In fact, a lot of people who are coming to the door if there's an opening, and oftentimes there is, we let them in. So as long as they have what they need, that's the other issue, of course, is having them prepared. We're at the point now too where it's the bulk of what we're seeing coming in is people doing tax, not registering cars, but they're making their tax payments. They're requesting absentee ballots. So it's we need to somewhat look into augmenting how we operate, particularly in terms of the absentees. And we've tried to look at some different options there, but we haven't had, we've gone through that rush. We really haven't had anybody who's really looking to. I actually had my first conversation the other day with someone who said, geez, when are we open? I said, well, what do you need to get done? Do you need to register a car? Said, no, I just want to see you. I'm like, I'd love to see you too. I'm glad we're talking, So, there's definitely people who want that, whatever that is, that neighborhood feel to be able to walk in. But we haven't, in terms of people who need to get, things done or, look at, we've had people come in and look at maps and make time to come in and do that. So nothing's really, we haven't really been slowed down, or I don't think anyone on the community's been slowed down in terms of being able to come in when they need to.
But I just thought once the windows were in, that was the barrier to not opening back up completely. So I'm just wondering why we haven't done that. Because it is a courteous.
Well,
I mean, it is nice to, because you don't always know when I'm in town and I think, oh my God, I got to I got to license my dog. It's not something I want to make an appointment for, but I'm in town and.
Right. The issue largely, one, is that we have that limited on the number of people who we have in the office at one time. So once we start that, then we have to keep track of how many come in at a certain time. So if 5 people show up at once, they're out in the driveway waiting. There's really no logical way to try to figure out who's next and who comes first. Then if we have lines, then we have to create a 6-foot setback for people standing in line. And so it seems to be that those who are wanting to use the town office haven't had issue with using it without by making appointments or being able to come in one at a time. So
Okay.
I like the old way personally. That's the way I'm used to. But no, the glass wasn't the limitation. The glass was really the limitation on having anybody come in. But it was such a delay in getting it open. We couldn't wait any longer. We just had to get open and do it in spite of it. And but the glass has been great, no doubt. But yeah, the limitation really for the glass was really just letting anybody in. But we went ahead and did it anyway because we just had to get open. We had to get people in, and they've been great to work with ever since. It's really been a good 6 weeks I think for the people coming in and for staff too.
Okay. Thank you.
One other general question about the RFP and other town office things. Have there been any COVID relief funds that the town is eligible to apply for any of these changes?
Sorry, I'm just walking around in my house, so that way I'm not bothering somebody. I'll turn my camera on when I can in a second here. There we go. That's me. So yes, the CARES Act funding is available, and there are some opportunities to use that potentially for opportunities like changing up our town office. And in fact, we had our visit from the risk management folks at MMA last week. And so we talked a little bit about some of those opportunities and where we can take advantage of it. So nothing's secured, nothing guaranteed or definite about any of it. But my hope is that we can have those renovations paid for by CARES Act funding in part, maybe not in full, but at least in part. The glass, being an obvious one.
Right.
So
Ventilation and heating system probably that was required by the separation.
right, absolutely, and we haven't had not the heat pumps, but the ventilation that we've been looking at in terms of the fire station in that community room is really part of that as well.
Right.
So we're getting to that point where the ventilation piece for that room is really the next big kahuna in all of this,
Sure.
because we're the room, and probably not many of you have been in that room, but since the floor is down, it looks great and everything looks beautiful. The walls look wonderful. But there is an unbelievable, and this is no bad reflection on the installation of the floor, but that room smells like glue.
Yeah.
And it smells like glue really, badly. And that has nothing to do with the installation of the floor. It has everything to do with the inability for air to escape and to infiltrate that space as at present, I think. I had a chance to, we've Clayton has been leaving one window open, trying to circulate air in there. Of course, that's not going to work in a couple months. We still have the AC units in, and I think Joel was by there a couple days ago and turned those on just to spin the air, spin the fans. But we have there's an air issue there. There's a stagnation issue for the kitchen and for Clayton's office as well. So if we can tie in those three spaces, get some fresh air in both spots, that's really the next mechanical thing. I think in addressing both areas and conditioning them too.
And those should be key things that we might be able to get CARES Act funding to help with.
Yeah, indeed.
Great. Anything else on the community center, or Joel?
How are we putting this out? You have some vendors in mind that you're just thinking of passing it to? Are we advertising it? Are we?
I was just going to email it to a few vendors that I deal with, that this is what they do for a living. So,
And then we'll just get the pricing and review it. And
I'm just going after quotes.
Yeah.
See what they come back with and answer their questions, because I get a rough idea what the equipment would be, but I don't know what their labor would be. So
we're not making a decision necessarily to do this right now, just to put it out to.
this is just to put it out to get some quotes back,
Okay.
because we'll have to see what it is and where we need to pull funding from.
Yeah.
So good. If everybody's good with that, I'll get that sent off this week. And the last thing we have a town warrant for $165,367.01.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Joel. Tor. Any discussion? It's the Hager's bi-monthly bill. If you haven't been on Academy Hill looks nice. Well, the curbing's in. It's first coat of pavements all the way up to the top of the hill. The water tower the drainage coming off of that's been taken care of and is pushed across the road. The spring has been taken care of up to Odell and Dave's house, so that's all quadrant off, and so I think everything's going well.
If you get a second and you're walking on Academy Hill, go check out the culvert which runs under Academy Hill from across from the water tower, and see all the water that is running. Even as dry as it's been, it's like a water faucet in your kitchen, constantly running all the time. And that water previously was going into the roadbed. So, there's a lot of parts of this and all that, but that is, when you see that, that's a really clear, demonstration how important what the town is doing is in terms of protecting that road. over the long haul. So if you get a chance and you're over that way, check it out.
And we don't have a sewer line patched by a rug anymore, so that's pretty good.
Right. Yeah, I don't think he found any major issues beyond that, except for the Fields house with the main water line coming in from the water company was gray PVC.
Doesn't everyone run their main water line or main water service through an electrical conduit? I mean, I think electrical conduit, that's how you do it.
Right.
I mean, I was a plumbing inspector after all, so.
I heard they have really great water pressure now that they never had before, so. All right, so on the warrant, if there's no discussion, all in favor? Passes 5-0. I think that ends tonight's fun. Unless anybody has anything else they want to add before we go. No? All right. Motion to adjourn?
So move.
All at once.
He's excited. All right, guys, we'll see you all next Monday.
All right.
One way to wake us up.
All right. All right. Good night, all.
Good night.